Barefoot shoes have gained a lot of popularity in the past few years, so it makes one wonder, is it just a fashion trend that's going to die off in a couple of years, or are there actual benefits to these barefoot shoes? And that's what we're going to answer in this video. Now walking around barefoot has been around since the beginning of time, right? And in more modern days, say the 80s, 70s, 60s, when you saw people walking around barefoot, you just called them, the hippies. And now they're the minimalistic people. So the names of this style of walking changes, but it's all the same thing. So first thing I'll say is, yeah, it's always going to be around, okay? But let's talk about how it can be beneficial. First thing, allow me to paint a visual for you. So if you ever tried a handstand or had someone just teach you how to do one, the first thing they will tell you, maybe not the first, but one of the things they'll tell you is that when you're on your hands, you want to spread your fingers out, okay? You want to put the support through all your fingers to be really grounded and connected to the ground so that you're a little more stable, a little less pressure on your joints, etc., etc. Balanced out. If you were to do a handstand and your fingers were like this, you'd probably tip over and or fall and hurt something, right? So when you think about your feet, it's the same mechanics. When your feet are cramped up like this, walking mechanics aren't the best, you're not as stable, you don't have as much balance, you're not as grounded, all the same things that apply with doing a handstand. However, when you're able to spread your toes out, you can be a lot more centered, have more stability in your feet, have more strength and power through your feet to aid in your gait, the way that you walk. So this is where modern shoes and socks have started to inhibit us over time, because they do exactly that. They have a very narrow toe. So as your feet are going into the shoe, they're getting narrow, causing your toes to be more, like this, and causing issues up the kinetic chain. Same with the socks. You don't get to wiggle your toes around much in your socks. Your socks are also like this to match the shoe. And so that is where barefoot shoes have come along, because maybe a lot of people realize that they didn't like the way their feet felt in shoes, which is why they would just walk around barefoot. Someone decided, well, how about I just create a shoe for the barefoot people so they can still get that protection, something between their feet and the earth. And so, lo and behold, here we are. So our first benefit to barefoot shoes is that allowing you to have more strength in your foot, but also more balance. Because again, when your feet are like this, you're losing that strength and balance. You're buying shoes to then correct that and help you with it. And so your feet aren't having to use as much as their bones and foot muscles to help you walk. You're kind of handicapped, so to speak, with the shoe, making your foot weaker. So the barefoot shoe takes that away and causes your feet to have to get stronger on their own. Number two, most barefoot shoes are pretty flat and thin. So if you're someone who doesn't have a foot arch, you have flat feet, then a flat shoe could benefit you. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not flat-footed, but I know a lot of flat-footed people have difficulty wearing shoes because the shoes have a natural arch in them, of course, but they don't have that arch, so their feet end up hurting, they're uncomfortable, the foot's cramping, and all these things, so they prefer to just walk around barefoot. And so, using my critical thinking and putting together context clues, I would imagine that a barefoot shoe will be good for someone that has flat feet. Number three, barefoot shoes can actually help reduce the pain and inflammation in the ankles, the knees, and the hips, because this is your entire kinetic chain. So as a personal trainer, I get a lot of clients that have knee pain, have tight hips, all this stuff, and they solely focus on that. I need to work on my hips, I need to work on my knees, when in reality, a lot of them just need to work on their feet, okay? Because the power in your foot affects how your ankles operate. If you have very weak feet, what does that mean? Your ankles have to take on more of that pressure. And now your ankles are getting worn down. They're not getting any support. They're taking on extra stress. And now your ankles are giving out, and now they're getting weak. And now the ankles are weak. Now the knees have to take on now the knees have to take on more of that power, more of that strength. They're doing more work. They have no support. They're getting worn down. Wear and tear is happening at an exponential amount. They're giving out. Now that's affecting the hip, and then the cycle repeats. So now one day you look up and your feet feel terrible, your ankles are swollen, your knees are crinkling, and your hips are tight. And you think, oh, it started with, the the way I was sitting, it started with my hips, it started with my knees, and while that can be valid, it could have also just started with the feet. Okay, so that's another thing that barefoot shoes can provide, because it's helping you strengthen your feet. Then it's going to help strengthen the ankles, the knees, and hips, and you could experience a reduced inflammation and joint pain throughout your entire body just off of that one little change. Before I get into the next thing, I will share with you that, again, our feet, most of us, because for decades now, we've been conditioned to wear shoes that are causing our feet to be like this. So I don't want you to get the idea that as soon as you step into a barefoot shoe, now your toes are going to be like this. Now we have to retrain our feet and our toes and build the strength in that slowly over time. So one way you can do this, and this isn't an affiliation, no one paid me to do this, I'm just sharing what I've been doing for the past few years, but I have these little toe spacers here. While I don't always remember to wear them, I do at least maybe once or twice a month when I'm just at home. I'll wear them for a couple of hours, and it has helped my feet tremendously over the years. But just these little things, you slide in between your toes, you wear them to start to get your feet used to being separated, to create that toe separation. I think back then I got these off Amazon for like $7 or $8. So, a very small investment to really help the whole kinetic chain in your feet. Moving on to number 5, I believe, is we get more flexibility in your toes, in your foot, in your ankle as well. Because when you think about your modern day shoe, they're pretty clunky. Sometimes they're very stiff. So when you're stepping in them and you go to, let's say, lunge, or you go to squat down, especially if it's a fresh pair of shoes, how many of you try to avoid doing that because you don't want to crease your foot? Right? And so, so that's one thing. So you're not allowing your foot to go through a full range of motion. One, in fear of messing up your shoes, right? But the second, you just don't have the flexibility to it. So because the shoe is so clunky, you really can't bend at the toe as much. You really can't, rock back and forth. You can't get as deep into a squat as you can because of the foot dynamic. Okay, but the barefoot shoes, they're very, very flexible. You can turn them, you can twist them, you can do all kinds of things to them, and they're still going to pop back into a regular shoe space. So this allows your foot to get more flexibility. So now you're not experiencing as much stiffness. If your foot, it's like wearing a cast. If your arm is in a cast all day long, it's never moving, and eventually the joints are going to get stiff. So same thing with your feet. So far I've just been talking about everyday life, everyday mechanics of feet. But let's go into athletes. Let's say you are a hiker, power lifter, bodybuilder type, runner. Can these shoes benefit you? Well, definitely when it comes to, let's say, power lifters, body builders, anyone that's just working out on a regular basis. Because when you think about doing your squats, your deadlifts, your Romanian deadlifts, things like that, whenever you're doing those, you need full support in your legs, right? And in your feet. You need to be as grounded, as connected to the ground so that you're stable, so you can squat as much as you need to, so you can deadlift as much as you are trying to. So that's going to come with some necessary feet stability. If you've ever been in the gym long enough, if you've watched people over on the platforms, you'll see a lot of them do it barefoot. They'll kick off their shoes and they'll just be in their socks, or even, just with their feet, which some gyms be like, don't do that, it's unhygienic. But you get what I'm saying? There's a reason they're kicking their shoes off, because the shoe is probably providing too much heel support, which is messing up their balance and stability when they're lifting this heavy weight. So if you are someone that lifts a lot, barefoot shoes could be the solution to that. Yeah, you could just continue taking off your shoes, sure, but you can also just get some shoes that are going to support you. And I've also seen people bring 2 pairs of shoes to the gym. The shoes they walked in with, and then the shoes they use just for the squatting and lifting. So what if you just have 1 pair of shoes that you could walk around in and lift in? Right? 2 for 1 special. And then when we go into the runners, me personally, I have more of a forward strike when I run, which they say is optimal, especially for speed, optimal way of running. Second optimal is being a midfoot striker. Okay, but they say, I don't know, not a runner, but research has said that heel strike seems to be not the best, because it can cause a lot of force to your foot, which then leads up to your knees, and that's where you can get a lot of tendinitis and like patella issues from running like that. And so what the barefoot shoe does is it actually, in a way, starts to force you into a more forward or mid striker when you run, which could help you with longevity, help you with your speed and things like that. They say if you're a long distance runner, you should run heel strike because that's supposed to keep you at a slower pace to go the distance. Again, not a runner, so y'all can let me know about that. But if you're just someone who just likes to jog or likes to sprint or things like that, you're not training for marathons and stuff, then these shoes can really help change that running dynamic to support you along the way. With all that information, well, who should buy barefoot shoes and who shouldn't? Well, I'll answer that by providing some more tips and some more information apart from what I have already told you so far. And one thing I will say, and I had to learn this myself, putting two and two together, but to me it doesn't make a lot of sense to wear a barefoot shoe and then still wear a traditional sock. Because like I said before, the sock is still constraining your toes. So if you're going to wear barefoot shoes, get some barefoot socks. Again, no affiliation. I bought these, I don't know how many years ago, but just a nice little toe socks so that you can have that toe separation inside your barefoot shoe. Of course, additionally, you can just go barefoot in the barefoot shoe. They're very minimalistic. They're very thin. They kind of have a skin feel. So it's meant to mimic barefoot walking anyway. So some people, they just slip into their shoes, no socks, and go about their life. That's perfectly fine too. It's a personal preference, a personal choice. Me personally, especially if I'm working out or I'm out in the heat, I don't want to be sweating in my shoes. Because then to me, that's a dark space, and heat breeds bacteria. So I don't want my feet to be, so I wear socks. This is a thicker sock. I'm actually on the hunt right now for some even thinner socks. But yes, so again, personal preference, do what you want to do with your body. That's just what I would say in terms of how to support your barefoot journey. And tip, I will say, like I already mentioned before with the toe spacers, our feet have been conditioned for a long time to walk like this. So it's going to take some time to build up to being, to wearing barefoot shoes because you're used to having support. You're used to having, the heel drop, a zero heel drop or whatever they call it. You're used to your shoes feeling and fitting a certain way. So if your feet are like this and then you go and buy some wide shoes, look at all this space. So, it might not provide as much support because you're not taking up that entire shoe. So on top of getting some toe spacers to help you get there, I'd also recommend just doing a slow transition. So maybe spend 75% of your day in your regular shoes, 25% of the day in barefoot shoes, and then slowly increase the time spent in your barefoot shoes over time with the help of the toe spacers and getting yourself prepared for that. Because going from cushion shoes to barefoot shoes can cause injuries when you don't have that transition. That's no different than being someone who has never done handstands before and then all of a sudden you just go and like full force do it. You're going to probably have sore wrists, sore fingers, sore shoulders, sore everything because you're not used to doing that. So same thing with the shoes. So just take your time, make a gradual transition. For someone who's been walking barefoot all your life, for the most part, then you'll have no issue. These barefoot shoes would really be no different than your everyday life. Third tip I would say is if you already have orthopedic issues, knee issues, hip issues, these things already exist for you and you already have customized shoes to support that. And maybe you went to the doctor, they prescribed you some orthopedic shoes. Maybe you talked to some shoe professional and they told you based off of the issues you're experiencing, you need to get the Brooks, you need to get the Aces, you need this type of shoe. Then stick with that, okay? Doesn't mean you can never change, but I would say stay with the shoes that you've been prescribed until whatever issues that cause you to get those shoes start to heal themselves. Okay, and you can also just spend more time walking barefoot at home. Like instead of wearing shoes all day long, when you get in the house, kick the shoes off, take off the socks, and just walk around your home barefoot. That could also slowly over time help you build up the strength in your feet and be prepared for that transition as well. Oh, another bonus tip I will include when it comes to benefits of walking with barefoot shoes is the connection to nature, yes, but also the mindfulness of it. When you're walking in your everyday shoes that has, that thick heel support and thickness around the foot, when you're walking, you're not really paying attention to your environment. If you walk over some glass, you'll be protected by your shoe. If you step on a rock, the shoe's going to protect you. You're not going to feel any pain. What the minimalistic barefoot shoe does is it causes you to actually be aware of your surroundings and bring your connection back to where you are in the present moment. Because I walk in some barefoot shoes, and I'm telling you, I went hiking one time and like I stepped on some rocks and it hurt. Okay, so now I'm a little more cautious. Okay, like where am I stepping? Where are my feet landing? What's over here? Because I don't want to injure myself. I don't want something to go through my foot. So take that as you will. Some of you might take that as like, well, if it's too thin, that's dangerous. I don't want to be hurting my feet by stepping on things. But like I said, it could just help you be a little more mindful of where you're stepping, and that could help with a lot of things on multi-planner levels as well. Lastly, I'll just share my personal take on barefoot shoes. The reason that I got into this in the first place was I just got tired of the way my foot felt in shoes. But I always felt like my feet were cramped. I didn't want them on anymore. And so, I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, one of my coworkers had some barefoot shoes. I piqued her mind on it, word of mouth, and 5 years later, here I am, still doing it. Again, not a sponsorship at all, but I did recently buy some barefoot shoes from this company called Barefoot. I just found them randomly on the internet. And they sent me these shoes in this cool little green bag. So this is the company. Okay, I got 3 different styles because they had a buy 2 get 1 free kind of sale. So I was like, well, I was going to buy some shoes anyway, might as well take advantage of the promotion. First one I got, they called these the Prismers. And so here's the shoe here. So like I mentioned, very flexible. You can lunge in these, you can do all kinds of things. These I got because they're supposed to be good for outdoor. And maybe it's because, the back, they got all these nice little grooves in here. So small pebbles could get in there, but also can give you more traction on a terrain. So this is the outdoor. It's recommended for outdoor. Here I got another bag came in. I got these for everyday wear. So it's a nice standard black pair. These are going to be my workout shoes, most likely. Oh, not most likely. They will be my workout shoes. So see the difference between these and these at the bottom. So you can see how this is probably for more terrain. This is more of a street walking, gym walking in a building where like it's just flat. So yeah, very not as thin as that pair, but still pretty thin. Has a nice wide toe box, and this material is very soft. So definitely gonna be wearing socks with these. Definitely wearing socks with the other ones. But the third pair I got, this was my free pair, and these I got for everyday use. So I'm going out, look kind of cute, just just wearing them in the city. These are called the Clouders, I believe. Yes, Clouders. So just a nice little beige tan pair. These are the thinnest ones. So honestly, like if I was someone who would not wear socks, this would be the shoe I would go barefoot in. But since I don't do that, I'm going to buy some really thin socks to go with this shoe. But yes, so very nice. Again, thin, durable, bounces right back, no creases. Pretty good shoe. I got to give you the name of these. These are called the Roamers. So you got Roamers, Clouders, and Prismers. Okay, so 3 shoes. Altogether, it's $120 plus shipping. So yes, I've given you a shoe display. I've given you toe spacers. I've given you toe socks. So I'll put the links of all these things in the description box in the event that, you want to get them for yourself. Pay for all these with my own hard-earned money. So just shows my belief in them. If you are someone that walks around barefoot, has barefoot shoes already, share in the comments your experience to help other people that, need someone to relate to, needs to hear from actual people that wear the shoes on their experience. Please do that in the comments so we can all read those and drop some of your favorite brands. I've had these. Well, I just got these. And then before I've had the Vivo barefoot shoes. And then I have some random pair I got off Amazon. So those are like where my experience goes, but drop any other shoes that we are unaware of. Yeah, if you like this video, you know what to do. Give me that thumbs up. I highly appreciate it. The knowledge we gain is powerful, but it's the knowledge we share that makes a difference. So please share this video with someone who may be flirting on the lines of going barefoot and just needs a little more education to make that decision. And I shall catch you in my next video. As always, don't forget to crush it.